Hello my friends and welcome back. It's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day. I have to say a disclaimer before I go on with the subjects. Yesterday something big, something huge happened in the Middle East and I want to cover it. Now it is outside of my usual covering topic, which is Ukraine, but I see these conflicts, 3 to be exact, right now all across the world to be united into this one greater conflict with the same sides of the axis of evil, Russia, Iran, North Korea and China versus United States, Europe, the Western powers. So the disclaimer first of all is that I will be covering 3 regions in this video: Israel, Ukraine and Taiwan. 2 of these regions are outside of my usual expertise, so that's why I'm doing this disclaimer. Second disclaimer is this video is probably going to be demonetized because I will show or attempt to show videos that I'm not supposed to according to YouTube standards. So if you want to support my channel, then you can do it through Buy Me a Coffee. The link is in the description below. Disclaimer number 3 is why I am covering 3 different regions and 2 of which are not my expertise is because I believe they are very straightly connected to the war in Ukraine, which is not only the war in Ukraine, but this bigger conflict involving all of these 3 regional conflicts, which is a pre-play to the Third World War. Yes, I said it. I think we're at the pre-play era of that Third World War. It will be a longer video, so buckle in, get comfortable. Let's go through everything that happened yesterday and connect it to everything that is going on in Ukraine and Taiwan also. First of all, this wedding couple in Israel yesterday evening was holding their wedding ceremony when suddenly many hundreds of Iranian missiles were launched at Israel. The Iron Dome started intercepting these missiles, but hundreds of them came through, also attacking military airfields, military bases, but also civilian infrastructure. And they had to continue their wedding ceremony in a shelter, in a civilian bomb shelter. They don't let this bother them, and their love is still here. It cannot be touched by Iranian missiles, which shows me what I see in Ukraine also, that life will go on, that life and love will go on in any circumstances. Now, my friends, let's go one by one, very methodically go through all of the visual footage that has come out of Iran and Israel from yesterday. Iran commenced the largest missile attack against Israel in the history yesterday, and first of all we'll start with the launching of the missiles. Here we can see the missiles being launched, flying over Jordan actually to reach Israel, and as you can see already in this video there's about 15 of them. Most of them are ballistic missiles, supersonic, very difficult to intercept, and they're on their way. There's many of them. Altogether 2 waves were commenced, 2 waves of missile attack. In this video, my friends, you can see the launch again from Iranian Kermanshah province, launching a mass of ballistic missiles, as you can see, one by one, following each other, following this ballistic trajectory, gathering speed and flying over Jordan and then into Israeli airspace. This is a launch moment filmed from Iran by a civilian. Here, my friends, we can once again see a massive launch of ballistic missiles near the Iranian city of Tabriz in northern Iran. All of them are launched simultaneously. The trajectory seems ballistic. The missiles were launched from different sites near different cities in Iran, not all from the same site. And the final launching video is very peculiar because this one is filmed from the cockpit of a plane near the city of Shiraz, and we can see the launcher launching missiles one by one, and they're going high into the atmosphere. The plane did not land, it circled and then went back. All of these videos now prove as a visual confirmation of where the missiles were launched. They are already geolocated, giving Israel exactly their locations, and there will be a response from Israel, strongest than we have ever seen. And all of these videos I just showed you are now targets. The places are targets. Now, Iran confirmed that for the first time against Israel, they used their new Fattah 2 supersonic missile with a range of 1,400 kilometers, even more actually. Length of it is 12 meters, explosive weight 200 kilograms, but warhead is 500 kilograms. Weight is 3.5 to 4.1 tons. So it's a very heavy missile. Speed Mach 5, last stage, meaning it's a supersonic, and you can see behind this bigger, fatter part of the missile is the booster, which gives it, the frontal part, the speed, and this booster detaches from the missile in the last stage. We will see a video of this landing in Iran and in Israel also, the booster. Now we'll go to topic number 2 about this attack, which is the flight path of the missiles. We covered the launch path, all of these videos you have seen. Now this is the flight path. This video is already filmed in Jordan, so the country between Israel and Iran, and we have reports that Jordani air defense actually attempted to shoot down some of these missiles, which is a very clear message that they do not tolerate Iranian attacks over their country, over their airspace to Israel. I'm not saying Jordan and Israel are open allies, but Jordan definitely is not an ally of Iran officially. They're attempting to shoot them down. Technically, it is a violation, heavy violation of Jordanian airspace by Iran. Now, my friends, the third topic about the launch and attack is the interception. Now, we watched the launch videos, we watched the flying them over Jordan. Now we'll watch 2 videos, very special ones about the interception. First of them is an interception high on the atmosphere, exo-atmospheric, so it means actually outside of the atmosphere. And why we can detect that this is outside of the atmosphere? Look at this explosion. This kind of explosion forms, we have seen it only exploding like that outside of the Earth's atmosphere, or in a very thin area atmosphere. This is what it looks like. So this is Israel's anti-air defense system engaging Iranian ballistic missiles very, very high up. One explosion, another interception here, and another one here. Israeli air defense reacted, another one here, reacted very aggressively, but Iran seems to have fulfilled their goal of overwhelming Israeli air defense systems with sheer numbers. They have done so. Do we see another one? No. So there was, I think, 4 exo-atmospheric interceptions in this video. Now, what about the targets? Let's go over the targets, and we know immediately that one of the targets was Israel's Dimona nuclear reactor, nuclear power plant. But all of the missiles fired in that very high priority target for Iran were intercepted by Israeli air defense. Now, Israeli air defense has always prioritized defending very high-value targets like nuclear power plants, military airfields and bases, and the capital, for example. They're not protecting the countryside so much because every Iron Dome defense missile costs $100,000+ and Iron Dome shoots out daily. So it is very expensive to defend Israeli airspace, so they have to prioritize. And of course, a nuclear reactor is one of the most highly prioritized structures in all of Israel. So none of the Iranian missiles reached the power plant. But if they would have, think of the consequences. This is why I can well call this the pre-play of World War III, because the goal of Iran was to destroy and possibly create a nuclear catastrophe in Israel by destroying the nuclear power plant and perhaps cause a meltdown. Now, my friends, I gotta bring a little dark humor into this, because you know me, you know my channel, I gotta do it. I cannot leave it out. When you're laughing at World War III memes and suddenly the sun comes out at 3 a.m. Hey, got him, yeah. Hey, what is life without a little bit of humor? It's very dark times, it's very scary times. But if you can laugh about it, you're already winning. Now, my friend, I'll go through a thread of all of the videos that have been confirmed locations where the Iranian missiles connected to Israeli territory. Means they were not intercepted. We have confirmed a few military airfields and military bases. Number 1, a strike in Glilot, Tel Aviv, possibly near Mossad headquarters. So a Mossad headquarters, Israeli defense intelligence, secret intelligence and recon, definitely that headquarters was one of the main targets. But we now know, we'll analyze it later, but we know that the missiles missed that building by about 500 meters. Number 2, a crater in Glilot, Tel Aviv, also possibly near the Mossad headquarters. And here you can see the crater is massive. This is massive. This is a few hundred kilograms of explosives crater, as much as I've seen them. And they missed the headquarter building, a few hundred meters, which shows something about the accuracy of Iranian missiles, something about their capability. They have to launch several hundreds to hit a target, because one missile, one hit is not going to work with them. This is more of an Israeli style, because they have pinpoint accuracy missile. Now this is the same location. We see the debris all over the place, destroyed cars, and this is the huge massive hole, but they did not hit the Mossad headquarters. This is the moment that very same missile landed in Tel Aviv, trying to hit the Mossad headquarters, but missed. This, number 5, is a strike on the north side of Tel Aviv. And now, my friends, we'll go to air bases, Israeli air bases, where we know, confirmed, that Israel holds F-35s and F-35 aircraft. Now, we can only assume that Israel had all of their available aircraft up in the skies, because this attack was not a surprise attack. United States warned about it about 12 hours before. Israelis warned about it. The intelligence warned about it a few hours before. It by no means came as a surprise. So I would assume Israelis had their F-35s up in the air. If they didn't, there might be several destroyed F-35s. We don't know that yet as of making of this video. This is a strike on Nevatim air base. As you can see, we don't know how many missiles were intercepted, but here about 10 of them connects straight to the air base. So if there are any F-35s down on the ground there, we can only assume they got damaged or destroyed. We don't know that yet. Now this is another angle on the Nevatim air base, just to confirm that many missiles connected to that target. Now, my friends, we'll go to another air base, impacts on or near Ort del Nof air base. And we can see that, again, many missiles, 2 right now, have connected to the air base. Let's see if there's any more. I don't see any more right now, but they could have missed the target, they could have hit the target. We don't know if there's any F-35s on the ground. Definitely tarmac is destroyed or damaged, but the main question here is if F-35s are damaged or destroyed. This is the biggest question about the hits on the airfields. And here again, we can see this is the Mossad headquarters in Tel Aviv. And just to confirm, they did miss about a few hundred meters. This is the crater. So from Iran to Israel, the hit area is like 1 kilometer from the target, because they missed 500 meters here. Now, at the same time, when the missiles started hitting Tel Aviv and Jerusalem and other Israeli cities, 2 separate Iranian extremists opened fire in different locations on Israeli citizens. There are many casualties and there are many wounded. I definitely cannot show you this video, but there are videos online of this happening in real time and people lying down on the ground. Now, this is an Israeli military base of Hod Haskaron, and we can see debris all over the place. So supposedly this base, not supposedly, we can see it on this video, this base got hit. They were not able to intercept the missiles. But the main question is again the extent of the damage, because in the base you can hit a few olive trees, nobody cares. A few buildings, nobody inside, nobody cares. But if you hit tanks or F-35s or Apaches or any kind of weaponry Israel has, then it is painful. Now look, this is the Fattah 2, the newest and the fastest Iranian supersonic missiles booster. And we have a CCTV camera footage of this falling down in the city of Jericho and hitting Palestinian civilian straight on the head. Cannot show you the video, but this is the very first casualty of this missile hit. Even before the missiles reached Israel, this booster unalived a Palestinian civilian. Now, what about the results? First of all, I'll read you the Iranian claimed results and take it with a grain of salt. According to Iranian media, more than 20 Israeli F-35 fighters were destroyed. Now, if this is true, this is extremely painful. I don't think it is true. Also, I don't think any of them. I don't think the number is 0, but it's not also 20. I think it's somewhere in between. But any destroyed F-35, in my eyes, is a very painful blow to Israel. gas platforms were hit. A large number of Israeli tanks were destroyed in the area of Gaza Strip. Again, take it all with a grain of salt. I just want to give you the information that Iran is putting out there. Now, what about the aftermath? I know this has only just happened. We don't even know all of the information or targets destruction yet, but I can already analyze a little bit of what is going to happen. And there's not going to be backing down. Knowing Israel's response to military action against them, they always react to escalation, and not a small amount of escalation. This will have massive consequences to Iran. Now, Iran, immediately after the attack, made a warning to the United States and also to Israel. I'll read you Iran's warning. Iran has warned the United States, if you target our refineries, we will set fire to the refineries and oil fields across the entire region, including those in Saudi Arabia, Azerbaijan, Kuwait, and United Arab Emirates and Bahrain. This is a serious warning to the United States not to respond. Now, I don't know about the US with their response, but Israel will respond, and they will respond heavily. Let's take the Persian Gulf. It's a water body responsible for almost all of Iranian maritime exports. For example, 95% of Iran's oil export is through the tiny Karg island in the Persian Gulf. Here is a nice before photo of it. After photo coming soon. Yeah, we're gonna expect a lot to happen to Iranian maritime infrastructure, export infrastructure, seaports, docking ports. Power plant. Now, it's not a nuclear power plant, it's a regular power plant. This video showcases Iran's largest power plant, capable of producing around 2,880 megawatts of electricity, which serves as a vital component of Iran's energy infrastructure. This plant supplies power not just for industrial operations, but also for everyday residential needs of millions of Iranians. It stands as a symbol of Iran's energy independence, and its destruction would deal a massive blow to the country's ability to function normally. If Iran chooses to escalate tensions by launching a ballistic missile attack on Israel today, this post was made before the attack and Iran chose to escalate, they must be fully prepared for the inevitable and unprecedented retaliation from Israel. The Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, will not hesitate to strike at the heart of Iran's power grid, targeting this very power plant along with many others, plunging the nation into darkness and chaos. Such a decision strike would serve to humiliate the Ayatollahs and force their hand, potentially opening the floodgates for a wider conflict in which Israel will target not just the energy infrastructure, but also Iran's critical refineries and nuclear facilities. Now, this thread hints that this is not a larger conflict already. In my mind, as I said, a disclaimer, I'll be covering this topic, which is outside of my expertise. This is all connected to one topic, which is one conflict which started in Ukraine, but it is part of a far bigger, wider conflict, which I see as a pre-era to World War III. The IDF's response will be relentless and uncompromising. Israel has one of the most advanced air forces in the world, equipped with precision-guided missiles and the latest technology, making these power plants, refineries, and even Iran's nuclear sites easy targets for destruction. Any strike on Israel by Iran will be met with overwhelming force, as Israel exercises its right to self-defense and ensures that the Ayatollahs and the regime understand the consequences of their aggression. This isn't merely a matter of retaliatory strikes. It's about sending a clear and unambiguous message that Iran's support for the T organizations and any direct attack on Israel will be met with devastating consequences. If Iran decides to open this Pandora's box, the Ayatollahs must understand that Israel will have no hesitation in cutting off Iran's power supply, not just metaphorically, but quite literally, by dismantling the very infrastructure that keeps the country running. The repercussions of such strike would be catastrophic for Iran. Entire cities could be plunged into darkness, industries would grind to halt, and the economy could face irreversible damage. This action would not only cripple Iran's capacity to wage war, but would also serve as a lesson to that any aggression toward Israel will be answered with overwhelming and unyielding force. Israel possesses the military capabilities and strategic acumen to execute such a campaign effectively. And should Iran choose the path of confrontation, which they did yesterday, Israel's response will not be a mere show of force, it will be a decisive act that might send Iran's energy infrastructure back to the Stone Age. This isn't just a matter of military might, it's about demonstrating that any act of aggression against Israel will be met with a level of retaliation that could leave Iran in darkness, potentially forever. Therefore, Iran should carefully consider its next move. Also, we already know what they chose. A strike against Israel would not only be an act of war, but also an invitation for its own devastation. The Ayatollahs must understand that their dreams of expanding their influence across the Middle East through aggression will meet a dead end when faced with the full might of Israel's military response. I do believe this thread, I do believe this idea. Israel has demonstrated their capability of carrying out massive operations across the Middle East against their enemies. I wouldn't want to be the enemy of Israel. Iran has chosen that position, and the retaliation will be unprecedented. And a little meme for you right now. This is the situation Iran finds itself in the next months. While we're at the topics of memes, I gotta show you this one also. Born too late to deploy to the Middle East. Born too early to deploy to the Middle East. Born just in time to deploy to the Middle East. It's always the Middle East. Now the timing of this attack is peculiar because it's just one day before the attack, Israeli Defense Forces and also the 7th Armored Brigade entered Lebanon to push the H group and their tunnels away from Israeli borders, northern borders, about 10 kilometers. Now, Israeli forces have said they will not go to Beirut, but they will create a buffer zone destroying H group infrastructure so they couldn't launch their missile attacks to Israel and drone attacks and artillery attacks. I will read you the speech of the commander of the armored 7th Brigade of the IDF before they entered Lebanon. This is Colonel Elad Tsuri. It will no longer be the case that H group threatens our land, our communities. Only recently we were called from the dusty Gaza to combat work to destroy yet another enemy. You have already proven that the 7th Brigade is ready for any mission and ready for any orders. Our professional skills, commitment to our mission have only increased over the past year of non-stop combat mission. This has turned us into that iron fist that is ready to beat any enemy. I address the brigade's battalion. I know that you will honorably represent the principles of our brigade in any of the division's units. Wherever you are in the vanguard, you are the best. Lead the rest. Show the enemy that he is facing a brigade that crushes anything in his path. 7th Brigade, commander in charge. We are continuing the legacy of Trumpeldor and his fighters, destroy H group infrastructure and kill them wherever they hide. We will restore peace and security in the people of Galilee for a better future for all the people of Israel. The people of Israel rely on you. I rely on us. Start of the attack. Good luck. Over. Just before they entered Lebanon 2 days ago. And now 1 day ago, already 24 hours later, we see IDF Special Forces entering the H group tunnel network, and it's pretty sophisticated, going deep underground. As you can see, there is food, fridge, kitchen, sleeping quarters, long tunnels, long pathways of tunnels with electricity. There is also air conditioning in some of the tunnels. It's a very well built out infrastructure right on the Israeli border on Lebanon. Now these tunnels are explored by the SOF. They were abandoned immediately, meaning the H group fighters ran as soon as they found out IDF is coming. So what will IDF do with these tunnels? Well, as the commander of the 7th Brigade promised, the goal is to destroy them. And on this video we can see the tunnels were being mined, and now the SOF pulled out and just blew them up, collapsing them on themselves, destroying the tunnels, destroying the infrastructure. Some of the tunnels the IDF set bombs inside. Some of them were destroyed, like in this video, for example, with bunker-busting bombs from above that are designed to go through many layers of earth before exploding to just eliminate this infrastructure. Now, my friends, we'll watch a video of Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu in English turning to Iranian people, civilians.
I speak a lot about the leaders of Iran, yet at this pivotal moment, I want to address you, the people of Iran. I want to do so directly, without filters, without middlemen. Every day, you see a regime that subjugates you make fiery speeches about defending Lebanon, defending Gaza. Yet every day, that regime plunges our region deeper into darkness and deeper into war. Every day, their puppets are eliminated. Ask Muhammad Def. Ask Nasrallah. There is nowhere in the Middle East Israel cannot reach. There's nowhere we will not go to protect our people and protect our country. With every passing moment, the regime is bringing you, the noble Persian people, closer to the abyss. The vast majority of Iranians know their regime doesn't care a whit about them. If it did care, if it cared about you, it would stop wasting billions of dollars on futile wars across the Middle East. It would start improving your lives. Imagine if all the vast money the regime wasted on nuclear weapons and foreign wars were invested in your children's education and improving your health care, in building your nation's infrastructure, water, sewage, all the other things that you need. Imagine that. But you know one simple thing. Iran's tyrants don't care about your future, but you do. When Iran is finally free, and that moment will come a lot sooner than people think, everything will be different. Our two ancient peoples, the Jewish people and the Persian people, will finally be at peace. Our two countries, Israel and Iran, will be at peace. When that day comes, the terror network that the regime built in 5 continents will be bankrupt, dismantled. Iran will thrive as never before. Global investment, massive tourism, brilliant technological innovation based on the tremendous talents that exist inside Iran. Doesn't that sound better than endless poverty, repression, and war? From Qom to Isfahan, from Shiraz to Tabriz, there are tens of millions of good and decent people with thousands of years of history behind them and a brilliant future ahead of them. Don't let a small group of fanatic theocrats crush your hopes and your dreams. You deserve better. Your children deserve better. The entire world deserves better. You deserve more. The people of Iran should know Israel stands with you. May we together know a future of prosperity and peace.
All is said. I have nothing to add. What is Netanyahu talking about? Well, look at this footage. Where is it made? It's made in England, in America? No, this is Iran right before the Islamist revolution that took over the country and established a religious dictatorship, pushing down everybody, especially the women. Well, this looks like a true Western country with Western values. There are cars, there are children, there are girls wearing dresses, long hair, children being more free and not suppressed and not brainwashed. This was Iran before the theocrats' revolution, dictatorship. It can go back to it, but it needs a little help. Now, just before I go to the topic of Ukraine, which is next, I just want to continue how this Iran-Israel conflict is very directly connected to Russia-Ukrainian war, because this is Russian Prime Minister arriving in Iran one day before the launch of this attack. One day before, Russian Prime Minister in Iran. It's very directly connected. Iran sends Shahed drones to Russia. Russia sends Prime Minister to Iran, sends a lot of money and gold to Iran, gives them aid on developing their ballistic missiles. They're very deeply connected, and Iran couldn't do this, and Russia couldn't do this without each other's support. It is one conflict. Now, my friends, we'll go to second topic of this video, second regions. As I mentioned, there is 3. Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan, or South Korea, Asia. Now we go to Ukraine. We start with Vuhledar, the city in eastern Ukraine, mining city. After 31 months of attacks against the city and Russian bombardment, Russians have finally occupied, taken over this city. Ukrainians pulled out yesterday. We have confirmations, visual confirmations of this. And the city looks like this from up above. There's almost nothing left of it. No one lives here anymore. It is ghost town. During those more than 2 years, Russia lost thousands of troops and vehicles for the 3.5 square kilometers, 1.4 square miles, large settlement, paling even the costly battles of Bakhmut and Avdiivka. You can see where it is in eastern Ukraine, right here in the middle of the front line. City finally fell. Now about a little analysis of how important it is. Vuhledar's fall won't break the lines. There are a defensive wall around Nova Ukrainka and Bohoyavlyanka. They've been hammering daily with the KABs, drones and anything else they can throw at it. Now it won't break the line, but Vuhledar is an important logistical connection, so it is a hit to the Ukrainian forces, but they are slowly retreating to destroy Russian offensive capabilities like they have been doing. It is the same tactic for the last 2 years. That's all they can do effectively because it conserves Ukrainian manpower and destroys Russian manpower. It is as simple as that. I'm glad they pulled out. Maybe I would have done it before even. Now occupying Vuhledar is part of Russia's greater offensive operations, which started, let's say, fall of 2023 after Ukrainian failed counteroffensive of 2023 summer. So in the last 1 year, from October 2023 to October 1st, 2024, this map shows you visualized all of Russian advancement throughout the entire front. And it's not much, honestly. It is about 0.006% of Ukraine, but their casualties of the Russian army to take this 0.006% is 250,000, 250,000 soldiers. So with this rate, Russia needs 8 billion soldiers to capture Ukraine. So I wouldn't say this is a success for the Russians because Ukrainians are retreating, like people in the West say sometimes, pro-Russian people. Oh, you see, Russians advancing, Ukraine is done. No, my friends. Retreating doesn't mean you lose. Sometimes retreating means exhausting the enemy, right to the point where they cannot advance anymore, and then the game turns around. Now we go to Kharkiv Oblast, northern front, where Russians opened a new front a few months ago, and the main battles are happening still around the city of Vovchansk. Now, Russians assaulted that 2 days ago on Monday, with again one of the biggest assaults across all of the fronts. They used over 20 infantry fighting vehicles and tanks altogether, from which they lost, I counted them one by FPV drones and artillery and recon drones. They lost 17. 17 Russian vehicles were blown up on that battle section, and manpower, KIAs, we're not talking about missing or wounded, we're talking straight to hell, over 100 troops in one day, in one attack to Vovchansk. There are also many videos about Ukrainian special forces entering Vovchansk aggregate plant, which is a huge industrial complex in Vovchansk settlement, having over 30 buildings in it, and Ukrainian SOF cleared all of those 30 buildings. We have videos of it. It's very brutal close quarters combat in dark rooms. There is hand-to-hand combat, and there were over 20 Russian POWs captured. The aggregate plant has been liberated by Ukrainian SOF. Now let's go to Kursk Oblast, where Ukrainian incursion started also over a month ago. Putin in August ordered Ukrainians to be pushed out of Russia from Kursk Oblast by October 1st, which was yesterday. Now let's look at the map. Doesn't seem like the Russians were successful, but this was Putin's direct order to the army. Well, they failed. That's it. Nothing more to add it. Now in Kursk Oblast, it is the opposite that is true. Ukrainians liberated Veseloye yesterday, which was one of the main battle locations in this new incursion. Russians have amassed about 60,000 troops to counter the Ukrainian 15,000, yet still Ukrainians were able yesterday to liberate a new settlement. Now for a moment, my friends, let's look at NATO alliance in a wider scale. Yesterday an official announcement came that NATO QRF, or Quick Response Force, ready to react within hours, within 24 hours, is now 500,000 troops, 500,000 troops. That is a massive force. But with NATO, it was never the issue with force or with weaponry, because NATO has always been many-fold stronger than Russia. In that case, it is about political will and fear. The Western leaders' fear of Russia. Now, my friends, let's go and open up a little bit about Russian economy, because the Russian economy is straight behind the Russian atrocities in Ukraine. It's the backbone of the Russian army. Russia experienced another major setback in the energy sector. Russia's ambitious Arctic LNG 2 project loses another potential customer. After the refusal of several European and Asian countries, India has also backed out. We will not buy our Arctic LNG 2. We are not buying any sanctioned commodity, something which has broad-based sanctions. We are not touching it, India's oil secretary said. Sanctions have plenty of holes which need to be closed, but there is no doubt that they work. Russia's already inefficient economy is getting strangled, something what in the past turned out to be more devastating than major engagements on the battlefield. But that is not it. Russian economy also is reflected in the interest rate. A country's interest rate reflects a lot of how the country is doing. Russian central bank does not rule out raising the interest rate above 20%. Now, if you are a little bit of an older person, you have survived plenty of recessions. Then you know how the central bank reacts to them, you know what they do with the interest, you know how the economy grows and retracts. You know what this means. If Russia is forced to raise their interest rate over 20 and money gets so expensive, you can think for yourself what happens then. They can raise it all they want. The ingredients for hyperinflation are already present and being felt. What are these ingredients? Drastic reduction in GDP, increased borrowing, increased government spending, decrease in labor availability, driving wage inflation. And now we look at Russia's military expenditure to be projected in 2025, and we see a pattern that is not food for economy, but in the short term benefits the Russian military. Russia's military expenditure will increase to 13.5 trillion rubles, or 145 billion USD, or 6.3% of GDP in 2020. The Russian government has submitted a draft budget for 2025 and the next 2 years to the State Duma. This amount is almost double the military spending in 2024 and is the highest figure in the country's post-Soviet history. It also follows from the draft budget that Russian authorities plan to spend almost 17 billion USD on education in 2025, 20 billion USD on healthcare, and 68.9 billion on social policy. In 2025, Russian housing and utilities tariffs will increase by 12%. This is twice as much as it was planned last year. Gas will rise in price by 10% and electricity by 12%. A year ago, tariffs in 2025 were planned to be indexed by 5.7%. In 2024, tariffs rose by 9.8%. And if you ever wondered how much Vladimir Solovyov, one of the main propagandists of Russia, is getting money, then in 2025 the Russian budget allocated $527,000 for the Ryadovka Telegram channel. Vladimir Solovyov's live TV channel will also receive state funding. From 2025 to 2027, $48.5 million will be allocated to. So the Russian propagandists are living good. Now again, to open up a little bit of how Russia's economy and the ability to pay or accept payments is damaged by the Western sanctions, Russia agrees to accept payments in Pakistani tangerines amid payment difficulties. Russian chickpeas and lentils will be exchanged for tangerines and rice from Pakistan. The decision to move to an exchange was made because the parties are experiencing certain difficulties in making mutual payments, explained Pakistani deputy minister. Under the agreement, the Russian company will supply 15,000 tons of chickpeas and 10,000 tons of lentils in exchange for 15,000 tons of tangerines and 10,000 tons of potatoes. It's a barter. And now to conclude the Ukrainian topic and also to connect it to Iran and Israel one more time, here is a list statistics of everyday attacks in September by Russian drones and missiles to Ukraine. September became the first month with daily attacks of Shahed drones on Ukraine. Shahed, of course, made in Iran and Russia. In total, Russia launched 1,339 Shahed drones at Ukraine in 1 month. 1,107 of them were shot down. Some were suppressed by electronic warfare. On average, Russians launched 44 Shahed drones in a day. They launched the most drones in September 14th, 72 drones. And if you look at it, this is a massive 1,000 drones in a month, massive amount. And this would not be possible in any way without Iran. And now we go to the East Asia, my friends. We go to South Korea, and their security is very strongly connected to a conflict with North Korea and Taiwan versus China. And I want to watch this video with you. As you can see on this video, this is South Korea's latest and most powerful ballistic missile, Hyunmo 5. Its transporter erector launcher with all-wheel steering capability. The massive TEL has 9 axes, 18 wheels. The Hyunmo 5 can carry a conventional warhead weighing between 8 to 9 tons, which is massive. 2 times heavier than the Fattah 2, the heavy new ballistic Iranian missile that they launched against Israel, making it one of the heaviest among conventional ballistic missiles globally. This substantial payload allows it to effectively target and destroy fortified underground facilities such as command centers and nuclear missile bases at depths exceeding 100 meters. It's a devastating missile, and it's ready to be aimed at North Korea and China if necessary. Now also connected to East Asia, but also globally, how the conflict in Ukraine is benefiting the United States. Especially Donald Trump has brought out recently, and all the time actually, that the United States is losing money or is stuck in this conflict. Now I am here to bring out very straight benefit for the United States because their weapons have been performing so great in Ukraine. In the last month, the United States Department has approved a total of 12 foreign military sales requested worth an estimated combined total of 14 billion USD for America. Now, 1 month, United States got orders across the world of 14 billions in weapons purchases. For example, Japan, Aegis class destroyer, follow-on technical support. Netherlands, AIM-9X Signedwire Block 2 missiles. Singapore, AIM-120C advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles. Israel, heavy-duty tank trailers. Japan, KC-46A aerial refueling aircraft. Romania, F-35 aircraft. Bulgaria, FGM-148F Javelin missiles. Sweden, multifunctional information distribution system joint tactical radio systems. Egypt, Stinger missiles. Iraq, follow-on technical support of vessel maintenance and repair. Australia, advanced anti-radiation guided missiles extended range. Now, this is only orders from 1 month. This war has been going on almost 3 years soon. The conflicts and American weapons portrayed to be performing great in this conflict are a great advertisement for United States industrial military complex, making massive amount of revenue for the United States, paying a lot of wages, tens of thousands of people's wages in the United States making these weapons. This is how I see it, that the United States is winning greatly by providing weaponry to Ukraine. Now, my friends, the Hump Day edition, midweek edition of Butchering Some Buy Me a Coffee monthly supporters, monthly members. These are the foundation of this channel, and if you like what I do, you can also become a monthly member and be butchering your name into the atmosphere. Sukkiroi min, Haring kon Nordkaring rd, Aaron Small, Petter, Boob. Thank you to all of you 5 monthly members. Until my next video, which will be on Friday, so be sure to be back. Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye.